Chiefs and 49ers. These two teams went head-to-head for an instant classic in Las Vegas only a few months ago in Super Bowl 58. And this time, with these two teams having high-profile quarterbacks, we thought we would get an offensive shootout. Well, instead we got a defensive struggle. Patrick Mahomes threw for 2 interceptions and Brock Purdy threw for 3, 2 being a couple of bad interceptions in Chiefs territory, and I thought both of them were really off target. I mean, the first one really changed the tide in this game. The 49ers were in Chiefs territory and had an opportunity to at a minimum take the lead with a field goal, but that was wiped out due to an interception thrown by Brock Purdy just not being on the same page as his receivers. And the other one was basically a last gasp attempt to make this a game, and yet again Brock Purdy throws a bad interception in the end zone. And we can talk about all the revolving door of injuries. It's been a tumultuous year for the San Francisco 49ers. But let's face it, regardless who was catching these passes, these balls were just so far off target. And this loss now drops Kyle Shanahan's record to 0-5 against Andy Reid with 2 Super Bowl losses, and it just comes down to the extra things. I mean, we've seen Andy Reid hire a really good defensive specialist in Steve Spagnuolo to handle the defensive side of the ball after his first couple of years in the Patrick Mahomes era wasn't really good on the defensive side. Well, Spags cleaned that up, did a great job of getting in Brock Purdy's face and making him basically see ghosts out there on Sunday. Despite Patrick Mahomes maybe not playing at his best, the Chiefs still find ways to win. I mean, he still made plays with his legs. He's still somewhat of a dual threat quarterback. He had a fantastic tight roping type of play where he kind of faked going out of bounds, had the defenders miss, and then continued to tightrope the sideline for another several bunch of yards. And in that process, the Chiefs score a touchdown. He's able to get a tough rushing touchdown where he was stood up but absorbed the contact to get into the end zone. And that's really what the Chiefs do. They make the plays. And yes, they're banged up. They're missing some bodies. But no matter who you have out there, as long as you have 15, Andy Reid, Spags, and maybe a reduced Travis Kelce, but he's still fairly dangerous when he wants to be, I feel like the Chiefs are just an unstoppable team. They just know how to win, and they don't need the talent. That was a huge narrative around this team that, oh, can Patrick Mahomes win without Tyreek Hill? Well, he's already won 2 Super Bowls since that trade, and I think they're on the path for another one. Despite him having now more interceptions and touchdowns, I know a lot of people are going to highlight that in reactions to this matchup, but he still is producing. He's producing winning football. I understand the narrative is different for other quarterbacks, but at the end of the day, he's still getting the job done, and I think these interceptions will fizzle out when time progresses. And shout out to the old guns of the Chiefs. I mean, Mecole Hardman comes back last year after getting traded from the New York Jets, and after injuries to their running back room, the Chiefs called up Kareem Hunt, an old friend. And he scored 2 rushing touchdowns against the 49ers, and he may be here only temporarily, but he still has a lot of juice in his legs. I always thought he was a really good running back, and when he was released from the Chiefs and found a home with the Cleveland Browns, he was very effective with Nick Chubb. And this offensive line can still get the job done. They just need a back to kind of take some pressure off of Mahomes. And getting to Mecole Hardman, this guy, it can still do a lot of things as a receiver, as a kind of gadget type of player, because as of now, with all these injuries, especially to the pass catchers, it's going to be a lot of backs, tight ends, and a lot of short stuff. And while Xavier Worthy is developing into maybe one of the best deep threats in the league, he is still young, very skinny, and he's gonna get jammed at the line pretty often. So regardless of how the Chiefs look, I'm still going to bet on them to not only just win the conference, but to win the whole thing unless proven otherwise.